Warning: the following context may include scary sequences of light horror and many thrills. Some gruesome descriptions involving children may be present in some chapters. Some material may be unsettling to certain audiences. But don't worry, everything will be okay. Probably. Chapter 13: The Library. Curie wasn't wrong. After a couple minutes and a killer underground hill to walk up, we reached the surface. I was nearly blinded by the sun, which appeared to be a few hours from sunset. The tunnel led us to a grassy path covered in clovers. Dandelions covered the ground in yellow, accompanied by fuzzy bumblebees and dancing dragonflies. There was a simple breeze that gently swayed the cornstalks. As beautiful as it all was, it was still so eerie. The corn became more and more suffocating the longer we were trapped in this place. "Okay, Pack," Curie says excitingly. "Half-mile from here is the library, so let's do this." Tori jumps up and runs to the front of the line with Curie. She seems to really like him. I think he gives her a sense of hope for this place. Whatever it is, I'm glad she feels safer now. The path doesn't drag on for too long, although my body is feeling very weak. The lack of food has become increasingly difficult on my body. I'm sure the others feel it too. It's odd how we've been able to go a few days without food, other than the candy corn and chocolate river. Maybe the food here keeps you full longer? That'd be one positive thing about this place. However, I'm still very hungry. "Right up here," Curie says, pointing up to the little hill. "Whoa," Tori exclaims. "That's so cute!" And she's not wrong. The little building looks like a giant mushroom, brown and tan, with big white polka dots splattered on the top. The shape resembles a little cottage in a grassy field. A sparkling little pond sits just outside the front door, filled with pink, purple, and golden fish. Butterflies and birds chirp and flutter around, visiting all the flowers planted around the pond. The ding of a wind chime creates music in the air. Finally, a restful sight. "Are they friendly?" Danny asks. "Oh yeah, most hospitable creatures you'll ever meet," Curie smiles. "And I've been told they have the best coffee too." "Werewolves drink coffee?" Tori asks him. "We're part human too," he laughs. "Like I'm fully a human right now. I can change when the moon is out." "So it's not like the movies where you can change at will?" Martha asks, walking closer to him in the library. "No, not unless the moon is shining on me." "So, on a cloudy night?" Martha keeps asking. "Martha, don't interrogate him." I laugh and try to pull her away. "Oh, it's fine," he tells us. "Everyone here just knows, so it's fun explaining it. But it depends on how cloudy the sky is." "Interesting," Martha says, looking fascinated. Connor walks up to us and uses Martha's head as an armrest. "So, about this coffee." "Hey," Martha hisses, shoving it off. "Ew." The front door is red and circular, with a red doorbell beside it. Tori jumps up and pushes it. She turns to look at me. I'm so happy to have something friendly for once. I nod in agreement. The door opens and a 2-foot-tall brown mushroom appears. It has 2 little feet that stick out along with arms, and the top of the mushroom looks like a hat to its face. I'm surprised and I'm not. Surprised because I've never seen a mushroom person, but not because it looks exactly how I would picture them. "Good heavens! Humans!" it shrieks. "Teety, come look at this!" It calls out. Another one, tan and white, waddles to the entrance. "Oh, goodness!" it lets out, then covers its mouth. "Hi," Tori says with a nervous smile. "We're looking for shelter and food?" They stay frozen, staring at us with wide eyes. "Did we break them?" Connor says through gritted teeth. Tori tries again. "Would it be all right if we came in?" The brown one finally shakes its head and comes back to life. Yes, of course. I'm so sorry. Come in." It hurries us in with a waving hand. With one glance, my jaw drops. The room is massive and at least 6 stories high. In the center of the building, which looks more like a mall turned into a bookstore, is a small fountain with shimmering clear water. The center is open, with the other levels circling around the opening with golden railings. How? I try to mutter, but my sentence won't come out. Everyone else has the same expression, all except for Kiri, of course. Rather than each row being a new genre, it appears that each genre has its own level. A soft jazz sound dances through the building, creating a cozy atmosphere. But Tori tries to finish her thoughts too. How on earth is it so big in here and it's just a small cottage outside? Martha asks, finally speaking what we've all been wondering. The tan and white mushroom creature, TD I believe was what the other one called it, turns and smiles at us. Humans are quite amusing, aren't they? It says, looking at the brown mushroom and Kiri. They both laugh and nod in response. It's just a simple spell we bought from the local witch. It's for protection, the brown one tells us. Or for practicality, TD adds, pointing a finger. That's how we have so much land outside. There's a local witch, Martha asks, interested. Is that the one who eats children? Tori asks the mushroom creatures. Only on her off days, the brown creature shrugs, waving a dismissive hand. I can feel my throat tightening up from how easily that didn't bother them. Do you think this place is actually safe? Connor whispers, standing behind me. He obviously caught that too, although I doubt it was that difficult to notice hearing that someone eats children. I took another look around and gulped. I'm really not sure, but so far they seem friendly. He leaves it at that and takes my answer. Oh, leaping lizard tails! You poor children must be starving, the brown one jumps. Hurry along, children, let's take you to the diner. They have a whole diner here? Danny says in disbelief. I mean, this place is a book mall. I don't think a diner is too crazy of a reach, Martha says, patting Danny's shoulder. Tori walks up to Danny, also patting his shoulder, as best that she can reach. Try to keep up, brother. This just all seems so crazy, Danny says, turning to look at me. You doing okay? I smile and nod, but we can both tell we're all still in shock from this place. Dear me, I haven't even introduced myself. I'm Chip, and TD is my brother. Hi, Tori says, raising a hand awkwardly. We follow them through the building, which is even more beautiful and magical the further in we go. The bookshelves are of various woods, red and oak, white, and even midnight black. The books are alphabetically and color coordinated. Pictures of grassy meadows and crystal clear oceans are hung in golden frames. Right this way, children, Chip tells us and jumps on a mushroom top roughly the size of a twin bed. He shoots up into the air and onto the next level. Whoa, Martha says. Do we get to try that? You're going to have to unless you want to go without food, TD giggles. You don't have stairs? Danny asks. Nope. Jumping is way more fun anyways. Well, let me try, Martha says and hops on the mushroom top. Whoa, she gasps and laughs as she floats into the air and landing gently on the second level. It's so smooth, I exclaim. More magic? You got it, TD points approvingly at me. Who's next? The diner was just as wonderful as the rest of the library. Gold-trimmed booths, checkered brown and white floors, yellow bar stools with a soft brown wooden countertop. Other creatures filled the booths, mostly other mushroom people, but a few others I didn't recognize. One looked like a flower fairy with petals for hair. Another resembled the perfect autumn leaf. I wonder if they were all plant people or something. I want the blueberry waffles with honey drizzle, Tori says. But wait, we don't have any money. Oh, no worries. No one here has money, Chip tells us. You pay in goods and services. Tori pauses. I could help wipe down tables? Works for me. Etta, 2 blueberry waffles with honey drizzle, please, Chip calls out to whoever was working in the back. And for the rest of you? We all order and sit in the back booth, the only one large enough to fit us all. I'd imagine they don't have a group this size very often. After the lack of food for so long, I struggled to manage to eat even half of the grilled chicken sandwich. So, TD says as he walks by our table, are you guys here to learn about the curse? All of our heads pop up from eating, staring at Teedy, who now looks concerned. What curse? Connor asks slowly. The one that brought you here, Teedy responds even slower, confused as to how we didn't know about it. Excuse me, what? Martha says. There's a curse that brought us here? Tori and I immediately glance at each other. The dreams, she mutters under her breath. The what? Danny asks her. I had a dream. So did Dixie, she tells him. When we ate the apples, we had dreams, but they were different, I add. But with the same people, Tori finishes for me. All the people at the booth, including Teedy, stare blankly at Tori and me. You had visions and didn't tell me? Martha exclaims, tossing her hands in the air. You ate the poison apples and lived? Teedy said. Is that uncommon? I ask. We woke up when Connor did CPR on us, I think. I look to Connor for reassurance and he nods. It's unheard of, Teedy answers. Are you sure they were poison apples, the ones that look glossed over and perfect? Yup, Tori says. They were so pretty. It's my fault, though. No, it's not. We were just hungry, I tell her, resting my hand on her shoulder. And it's true, there's no way we should have known. Finish eating, then follow me, Teedy tells us, scurrying off to the back kitchen. Do we follow now, or, Connor says, pausing for anyone's input. Well, who knows when we'll eat next, Danny says. Let's start with our most pressing need, hunger. I agree, I say, looking down at my sandwich. I'll get down as much as I can. Deep in the library, a round room is hidden behind bookcases that are actually doors, classic fantasy style. The room is a comfortable size, soft brown wooden walls with dark brown trim. A circular table is centered in the room, surrounded by golden chairs. Candles lining a chandelier hang steadily above the table, lighting the room with warmth. Please, Teedy says, gesturing to the chairs. Sit down. There is much to discuss. We do as we're told. Okay, Connor says, laying his hands on the table. What is this curse you're talking about? I stare at Teedy, anxiously awaiting the answer. The doors scrape on the floor as Chip enters the room, locking the door behind him. Chip and Teedy hop on the chairs and exchange a nervous glance. That doesn't make me any less anxious. This place is a curse, Teedy states, then pauses. Okay, Connor says slowly, obviously annoyed. Can you tell us more? We apologize for how poorly we brought up the subject. We figured the werewolf would have told you. We all look at Kiri accusingly. Hey, I wasn't sure if you'd believe me. Plus, there's a lot of you and it was intimidating, Kiri says, throwing his hands up. We assumed that was why he brought you here, Chip adds. It was, Kiri admits, but they also needed food without becoming someone else's food. He shrugs, then sits back in his chair. Please, I say, looking at Teedy and Chip, what is this curse and how can we go home? Also, Martha sits up, leaning forward, is every minute here an hour in our world? Clever ones, Chip says, nodding in approval. Yes, similar to that time frame at least. Okay, cool, but this curse, Connor says, losing any little patience he may have had. Sorry, yes, the curse, Teedy says, giving Chip a wide side-eye. There was a witch, Lydia. She was one of the many in her coven, and they were happy, mostly kind witches. They brought in homeless children, helped heal the sick, even cast out evil spirits. Why would someone like that do this? Tori says, gesturing to the whole world we're stuck in. I mean, you guys are nice, but we haven't encountered many friendly creatures. We'll get there, dear, Chip says softly with a smile. However, Teedy continues, some humans did not feel safe with magic so close to home. They believed the witches to be wicked. After some gossiping around town, the leaders took an extreme approach and ordered the men to wipe out all the witches. That's awful, I say. They were peaceful. People do unthinkable things when they are scared, Chip says with a saddened smile. It's true. Sad, yes, but true, Teedy sighs. So one by one the townsmen searched and killed the witches. Lydia was the only one left. The surprising part, she was the governor's daughter. He had no idea for the longest time, but one night he found her in the kitchen brewing a potion when she thought he wasn't home. He immediately fell into a rage. "My dream," Tori says, her eyebrows scrunched up. "My dream was a man yelling at the woman. Then she ran out the door?" "Yes, she did," Chip answers. "She knew what was coming." "How could he do that? It's his daughter," Danny says, utterly bewildered at the thought of such evil. That's horrible." "I mean, he already ordered them to kill other people's daughters," Martha says plainly. "Doesn't seem out of character. And I suppose she is right. Her father, as awful as it is, sent men to capture her," T.D. says, shaking his head. "She was captured in a field, tied up and prepared to be brought back to town to set an example of what happens when you practice magic." "That was my dream," I tell them. "She disappeared, though." "Yes," Chip nods. "She brewed the spell just in time before her father came home. She chanted the spell as the men carried her off, cursing any person who steps foot on this field to be stuck in a maze, unable to escape. This field and forest was the land of her coven." "Where did she disappear to?" I ask. I believe in magic now, but someone vanishing out of thin air is still slightly unbelievable. "Here," Chip says. Our eyes all widen and sync. "She's here?" Martha says, sort of fangirling. "She is here. She is the maze," T.D. tells us. "Something went wrong with the curse, and she cursed herself too. Her insides, like thoughts and feelings, not organs," T.D. says, waving his hands around, "became the outside, which is this place." "Why is it so evil?" Connor asks. "If she was peaceful, why are most things here evil?" "Well, it is still a curse," Chip explains. "It wasn't meant to be pleasant. Her feelings came out as physical expressions in creatures. It's a protection for herself and her coven's land." "Okay, I guess that kind of makes sense," Connor says. "But how can we get out of here?" "Yeah," Danny says, looking over at Connor with anxious eyes. "This place isn't exactly the most welcoming to humans." T.D. and Chip exchange a nervous glance, both of them gritting their teeth. "Well," T.D. begins, you could stay here, help us run the diner and library. We'd make room for you." "So it's really that hard to get out of here?" Connor says with a straight face, sitting back in his chair. "Please tell us," I beg. "We really need to get home." "The truth is that no one has made it home," Chip says, folding both what I assume are hands in front of him. "I'm very sorry." An overwhelming silence strikes the room. The only sound is of chairs squeaking as we sink into them. How could this be happening? It doesn't make sense. Even though everything here has felt real, I'm still holding on to the hope that this place is just a dream. "Wait," Tori speaks up. "How would we survive the poison apples then? You said no one has done that." "That is true," Chip nods, trying to encourage her, although Chip doesn't seem to be too hopeful. "We honestly don't know how you lived and how you managed to retain dreams. It's thought to wipe your memory, like you become lifeless mentally until you're lifeless physically." "That's—" Danny's face turns sour. "Unsettling." "Okay," Martha perks up. "So, currently our options are to continue living here in a pretty awesome library, or probable death. What would we have to do, hypothetically, if we tried to escape the curse?" "Well, we don't know if it works because no one has made it long enough to accomplish it," T.D. says hesitantly. "But legend says you would have to collect specific objects from the different sections of this land, bringing them together as a sort of reconnecting the remains of Lydia. It's believed that when the curse went wrong, she was so emotionally distraught that the things that made her who she was were scattered throughout the maze." "So a scavenger hunt," Connor says, listening carefully. I can't tell if he's annoyed, determined, or intrigued, Possibly all three. Precisely, TD says. But not one soul who has been trapped here has made it out. But they all tried, Chip tells us, pained by the memories. Please, just stay here. I look around the room at my friends, each one just as terrified as me. We can't stay here. Chip's face drops as TD sighs. All right then, TD says, plopping a huge dusty book down on the table. You're going to need this. Chapter 14. One Last Safe Night. Tori's Perspective. Tune in tomorrow